So I started Love and Hands in 2015 when I had moved into this community, Kinyinya. I realized there were so many children who were out of school or maybe did not know how to read and write. So I decided to reach out to a few of them, and I gave them a small test in reading, and I realized they were not able to read. So it started on the veranda of our house with about 25 children. And so from there it grew, the children became so many, and then we had to get a community center, which is now Ellis Corner, where we are today. So I just wanted to reach out and give them an opportunity to have a good education and be able to read so that they can have a better future for themselves. And eventually I realized that it was not enough. The children would go back to the same families, to the same communities, which were full of different challenges, including lack of proper health care, unemployment for their parents, lack of basic necessities like food, and different challenges that they face. And so we decided to find a way to help their parents start businesses or start doing something to solve the challenges that they had. So we trained the parents in asset-based community development as a way of helping them come up with a sustainable solution to keep their children in school. So the idea is to get the community to realize that they have what it takes and they have assets around them to make a difference in the community. So we basically tell them on the first day that we're not going to give them money. And they're like, really, how is this going to work? But what has happened is the people that have been able to put this into practice have been a testimony to other people in the community. Now we get people requesting to be trained even when we don't have the capacity to train them. So it is growing. We also have teams that have been mentored by other teams, because they don't want to be left out. They actually realize it's possible to build businesses out of the assets that they have. So we are currently running 2 community centers now. The first one is the Children's Center, which has now grown from just a veranda center to a house. And we have reached out to about 300 children directly through our literacy program. But we are also running asset-based community trainings at our second community center, which has led to about the starting of about 20 businesses, and we have been able to train 300 women in that community. We are working to reduce extreme poverty by bringing the people on board, the people who are going through the poverty. Many people overlook their contributions to getting themselves out of poverty, but we've realized the biggest asset we have are the people themselves. It's the values they have, it's the assets around them and things they know that external people who would like to get them out of poverty might not know. And what we do is bring that out. We put it out there, and the community members realize they have a big role to play in getting themselves out of poverty. And so once they realize that they have assets and things they can use, they begin to use them and run real businesses that are in direct response to poverty and other challenges that they face. Unlike other development interventions, we do not give a seed capital to the community groups or skills. Instead, the communities themselves mobilize and connect existing assets within the communities to be able to raise enough capital and resources to begin businesses. So it's different from the onset, because we don't give them anything, but they use what is already existing in their communities. Apart from that, communities own and drive the change process themselves. We do not come in between the community and show them what to do. If we want to support the community, we support as external people, but the community drives the entire change process themselves, which is more sustainable than when it's an external person driving the change. So the community groups are self-sustainable in skills, in resources, and other ways that they can use to keep their groups going. So far, we've been able to reach out to over 300 community members who have started community-driven businesses, with about 20 community-driven businesses in response to the challenges that they face. And now community members are able to pay school fees for themselves, for their children, and solve health-related problems like lack of health insurance and so forth. We have also reached out to over 300 children directly through our program, our literacy program and computer skills program. And some of the 51 children have been reintegrated into normal schools. Getting the Global Citizenship Award will be very beneficial to us as an organization. Firstly, because it will be our first big grant, but it will enable us to reach about 10,000 people in 100 communities directly through the asset-based community development. And out of that, we'll be able to start 500 community-led businesses, and 50 of them will have access to small grants and soft loans from the same $100,000. We're going to do that both in Kigali and outside Kigali in rural areas that we haven't reached yet, but also expand our work to the neighboring country, Burundi, which is currently facing many more challenges due to the conflict and political instability that has been taking place there in the past few years.